Item number 5B, 4B, consideration and action on authorizing an agreement by and between the City of Sugar Land, Texas and Fort Bend County Chamber of Commerce for temporary operation of a farmer's market at the Imperial Park Rec Center. Kimberly Terrell, Assistant Director of Parks and Rec. Kimberly?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. It's my pleasure to bring agreement between the city and the Fort Bend Chamber of Commerce for the Imperial Market. And just a little bit of a history about the Imperial Market. It was organized and it's been run by the Fort Bend Chamber of Commerce. The first market was on October 1st in 2011. It was only meant to be temporary. It was only meant to be a 6-week market, but it's been going for 6 years. So, you know, temporary is all relative. It's supported by Johnson Development and others. It runs every Saturday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. As I said, it's a temporary location, and it announced its closure in November. Of course, you have an item on council later about the Imperial Market Development. So Imperial Market Development is ready to get started, so they're being displaced. And that's the existing location showing just north of 90A. So staff has been working with the chamber to find an alternate site and looked at various park sites that might be good sites to host the market. And we determined that the Imperial Park Recreation Center parking lot would be a good location because it's close to the existing market. It's only 0.25 miles just directly south of the market. And we also felt that it was a good opportunity to showcase a city facility that maybe some people haven't been to, haven't seen, so we can showcase our services as well. The Council Economic Development Committee reviewed this and were in favor of proceeding and bringing it to you tonight. So the proposed location is just south, like I said, at Imperial Park Recreation Center. At the center, on your map, you'll see that there's outlined in red 45 vendor spaces, which is about the capacity of the current market, and they've laid it out and are able to fit everybody in there. And we're also asking that we're reserving some spots for our recreation center customers. There are still several morning classes, and so we'll make sure that our customers are still have parking spaces. Overall, in the parking lot, in that whole parking lot, every bit connected, there are 242 parking spaces that will still be usable. So we have plenty of parking for our market users and for our customers. In addition, I'd like to mention that we will still have girls softball games at the same time, but the softball participants are not allowed to park in that parking lot, and it's already signed as such. So in the agreement, we define the area that they're allowed to have the market and show where the Imperial Park Recreation Center customers can park. It allocates the times and days for the market, and that's Saturdays from 7 to 2 because we allocate for setup and for takedown. It's a little bit different than their existing location where they can leave some things overnight and over the weekend. Here they'll have to to put up every time and then take down every time. Of course, they'll be required to leave the site as they found it, so they'll be required to clean up their trash, and they cannot store anything permanently on the site. It also prohibits the use of any city staff members for market assistance. The chamber will still be running the market completely 100%. There are signage restrictions in that they can't put up any permanent signs. We're working right now with the chamber on a sign plan because, of course, we're concerned about making sure that folks know that it's moved and doing a sign plan to make sure that people know where to go when the other one is closed down. So we're working on signs right now. There'll be a license fee of $1 charged for each week the lot is used, and this is temporary until the Imperial Market Development is complete and they're able to move back. And Parks and Recreation Department recommends approval of the license agreement for the temporary operation of the farmers market on city-owned property in the Imperial Park Lot Recreation Center. And I have with me tonight Carrie Schmidt with the chamber if you'd like to ask her any questions as well.
Kimberly, before we go to the questions, Carrie, if you'd come up. I want to acknowledge there's been a lot of hard work done by the chamber. I know Johnson Development, I know our staff. You guys have done an extraordinary job pulling this together. You had a number of conversations on it. You've worked with staff. Staff's worked very hard to make this come about. So I want to thank you, Carrie, thank the chamber. I want to thank Johnson Development. Doug Goff was involved early on, voiced his support. Susie Goff first her support. It was actually her idea going way back when. So it truly is, you know, it takes a village, and it took a village to get this thing accomplished. So with that, I'll make a motion to approve it. Questions, Amy?
Yeah.
I actually have several questions. First of all, I really want to thank you because I know that this farmer's market was near and dear to the heart of many, and the outpouring of support and requests to have it continue was astonishing. So the fact that you acted so quickly to try and find a solution and that the city worked with you to figure out something really needs to be applauded. This really was a community need, and these vendors really do rely upon it. It's their income, and our citizens love going. So prefacing it with all that, thank you that we are going to continue it. But which is my next question. How long do we anticipate that we will be continuing it at the Imperials, at this site, at the Recreation Center site?
We anticipate about 2 years.
Okay, and then after Imperial actually opens, we have the where will it go back to the same exact spot it's in now, or is it going to go somewhere else?
I think it'll go in the same general location. I think it's too early for us to give an answer on that.
But that's kind of the game plan is. It's just this
Right.
is temporary. 2 years is 2 years. It's a long time, but it's
Right.
still not intended to be permanent.
Right.
My concern is the parking situation, especially if you have softball, because I don't know how you have people who are purchasing things from the farmer's market and getting to go in and out, and then you have the kids who are playing and it's kids playing softball, right?
Yep, girls.
So how are we going to work out the parking situation? Because we've just taken out a huge chunk of the parking based on the drawing, and we're not giving an alternative. So we've said, okay, this is for this is for the Recreation Center parking, this is for the vendors, and then how many spots are left? And those spots then have to be divided or used by both children and their parents who are going to play softball and anybody. How do we picture that working smoothly?
So currently the softball users are not allowed to park in those parking lots. It's already signed that they are not allowed to park there. And they've been, for the most part, really good about that. And they're reminded periodically, but they're good about not parking there. Their parking is on the western side of the park. They have hundreds of spaces over there and overflow parking just for softball.
Okay.
So it won't impact that.
That's a good thing. Then do we have activities or anything at the Recreation Center at the same time that will be impacted by a lack of parking? I guess that's my big concern, obviously, is I'm just looking at the parking situation.
Right, absolutely, and that's been one of our concerns as well. So that's why we're allocating a certain number of spaces for the Imperial Park Recreation Center. We have some classes those mornings during that time. We have our soccer tots, and we have table tennis, and we know how many users we have. So we know how many parking spaces we need, and we've allocated those parking spaces.
And that's what that one section is for. It's for
Yes.
those, because we know that that is the need during those hours.
Yes.
And that doesn't leave us much flexibility for changing it should our need grow, nor does it give us much flexibility for increasing the usage at that time. But I appreciate the fact that you've really looked at a way to make this all work out and run smoothly.
Right.
Again, I'm thrilled that we'll have the farmer's market there. I would be careful about traffic and things like that at that point, because the safety issue. Are we going to have an increased police presence or somebody monitoring the driving in and out? That's just another question I have.
Right, and we're going to continue to monitor the market, and we're going to, as with anything, as it grows and changes, we'll have to maybe reevaluate and look at it. So we'll be addressing those concerns as they go on and as they happen, if they happen.
Perfect. Well, Carrie, thank you for keeping the market open and finding a way to make it all happen. We all love that. That was something I was very excited when you first did that all those years ago, and I'm glad the temporary has been here the entire time and will continue to be here.
One thing to mention is that we have adjusted to the Children's Museum opening over at the Farmers Market without any incidents. And so, you know, our Farmers Market customers, they are coming and going. They don't stay the whole time. And so, you know, we have a large audience, but they're there for maybe 30 minutes mostly. and then leaving again. So we'll be monitoring it very carefully and ordering signs to make sure that our customers know to park at only certain areas and not to intrude on the Parks and Recs folks that are going there. And we'd like to thank you all so much for considering this. And a special thanks to Jennifer May and Kimberly Terrell for working on this.
One last question, and I'm so sorry. I have a little concern with the lack of ability to keep things overnight there, because I have a feeling that those vendors relied upon that. And are we going to make some accommodations or assist them in that way? Or they have to, I mean, breaking down everything every day and then bringing it back, it seems very difficult.
We have not announced to our vendors where we're going because we haven't been able to, but we have forewarned them that there'll be changes. And many of the vendors that are there, they work other farmers markets, and they're not accustomed to having a pavilion. So that's really a luxury for them, and they're used to breaking down and taking things with them. Of course, it's been great to have the pavilion in bad weather, but they're at this point just grateful to have the extension of the market.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Carol?
Yes, well, I was there on October 1st, 2011, the day it opened, and I've been there many Saturdays since. So I know firsthand how much the vendors do, rely on selling their products there, and how much the citizens just love coming there. And there really was a lot of concern by the vendors that with a 2-year closure, they were going to lose their customers. They were going to go elsewhere. And of course, the customers were thinking, where am I going to get these, like the fresh farm produce and these other things during this time frame? So I was just thrilled when I found out what the chamber and the city had done to work on this temporary solution. So I'm very, very appreciative of that. And just 2 questions. As far as the insurance requirements, could you speak a little bit to that?
The city requires insurance just because of the lease agreement and them, being on the site temporarily, and they've already satisfied all those insurance requirements.
Okay. And then I just had one request from a couple of the vendors, if it'd be possible for the city to put a dynamic messaging sign there, like the first 4 Saturday mornings, just to redirect people from, across the street so they know where to go.
I've made the request to Public Works, and I'll have that conversation with them.
Okay, great. Well, thanks again. I'm just really, really excited that we're going to be able to continue the farmers market in this temporary location until the new Imperial's there.
Brilliant.
Oh, and I second them. Has anybody seconded it yet? Oh. If not, I second the mayor's motion.
Beat me to it. No, I wanted to thank all the parties involved for this, because I think that the farmers market is such a great asset to our city, and it really is one of the assets that gives a lot of people that hometown feel. So very happy this worked out. I'm very happy that we have the farmers market and we're able to go there and buy all of our organic plants and cheeses.
Thank you all. I've got a motion. I've got a second. Himesh?
Oh, just, Mayor, this had come through economic development with Councilmember Joyce and not myself and you, and it was unanimously supported. And Councilmember Mitchell, your questions were great, because those are a lot of the same things we vetted very hard on, the parking and the access issues. This is a license agreement, so in the event something needs to be changed, we have the ability to pull that, as opposed to a long-term lease where you're committed. So, that's again thoughtful thinking on the city's part, and more importantly, if the new location is ready sooner, there might be an opportunity to go sooner back to the Imperial Market. So that gives you some flexibility there. So looking forward to you guys opening. When are you going to open, Carrie?
Our plan is to move over on the 13th, so one more market on the 6th at the current location, and then the 13th we'll be over there.
Great.
So no downtime.
Pending the vote.
I think you're good.
Anything else? Your vote at this time, please. And it passes unanimously, the council members attending.